So Opera Prelude is a charity that's now been running for about 12 or 13 years. It was set up by Fiona Hamilton and Adriana Festu. Adriana's now a professor at the Royal Academy. And it was largely set up because there was this gap between what's available for very early career singers, people just coming out of conservatoire, and the work that's available to them. And it was set up to sort of try and bridge that gap to help people through those early, very difficult years. A lot of the time when you've just come out of music college and you're suddenly faced with having to send CVs and do auditions, and none of this has ever really come up in the same way. You can practice it at conservatoire, but it's not what real life is like.
Yeah, so Opera Prelude provides a one-year program for artists, and we engage them in masterclasses, workshops. We offer coachings, performance opportunities, outreach work, and education workshops and masterclasses as well. So it's a huge plethora of opportunities that hopefully fit alongside whatever the artist is doing, albeit summer contracts or education work if they're teaching. We try and fit it around them to make sure they get the most out of the year that they are with us. Opera Prelude auditions the young artists once per year. The most recent one coming up, the deadline is the 30th of June. And that process is a simple audition in which you will sing some arias and people will ask you some questions. So we try and make it as friendly and informal as possible. But it involves audition, and also to apply for those auditions, you send an application with a CV and preferably a recording, and also mention why you want to get involved, and whether you've had a look at what we're doing and which bits in particular interest you.
There is an age limit in place. I think it's about 30. But that said, if you're coming into opera new and you've only just finished your training, you've had a change of career, change of life, whatever, then do still apply, because we do make exceptions.
Yes, we do look at it on a case-by-case basis. So if you said, I've come from working in accountancy for 10 years and suddenly I've decided to take up opera, fantastic, but explain that in the application, and then the panel will consider it.
Many and varied, I would say. So Alex and I have both been young artists. We've come up through the ranks, if you like, and now we're sort of more employed with Opera Prelude behind the scenes, organising things. I send a lot of emails. Alex runs the outreach programme. So as you can tell, we're very keen on Opera Prelude because we've stuck around this long. The biggest thing I think you get is a sense of support and a general people who are very interested in you. And that doesn't just come as, oh, we support you strongly, we send you very good wishes. They also pay you fairly for your time. And that really is quite unusual at that stage in your career, a lot of the time. We're very keen on and committed to maintaining that fair level of payment. Because just because you're a young artist doesn't mean you should be paid less for your artistry. Yeah. But I think, speaking personally, why have I stuck around in Opera Prelude? It is really like a little bit of a family, which sounds horribly cliche, but I think it's something that's quite unusual to find, in that so many previous young artists are still around. You get to know audience members who are regulars. They'll come and then they come and support you doing other things. We're friends with people who came to watch our very early, quite ropey lectures and are still very kindly turning back up to our concerts X many years later. Yeah,
you can build a good network of support alongside all of the performance opportunities. So one of the benefits is this, as Rosie said, this has been going for 13 years. And we have a long list of young artists who have since gone on to have fabulous careers. A couple of people that come to mind is Will Morgan, Anna Cooper,
Anna Harvey.
Not Anna's. But we also have ambassadors and huge supporters who are at the top of the industry. People like Della Jones, Yvonne Howard, Susan Bullock. Lots of people who have obviously trod the boards and know this industry much better than perhaps the younger generation. So you get their advice, you get their support, and you get to do masterclasses and various things with the more experienced people in the industry.
And that's something that often falls off after you leave college. It's much harder to get that kind of access to industry professionals. And so we're very, very lucky to have these people willing to come and help us out and talk to us.
Yeah, there's also a mentorship program, which I forgot to mention. The young artists get access to people who have been Opera Prelude young artists before, say 5 years before, and you get contact with them, and they'll talk to you about life as a singer, administration, accountancy, tax, which is something that nobody talks about, and actually you can save a huge amount of money if you are efficient with your tax. So little things like that, website development, artist representation, and lots of different things that no one teaches you, you get from the horse's mouth.
And a sympathetic ear if you just want a cup of tea and a whinge.
Yeah, that's
Get out there. Learn as many different things as you can. And that sounds like a horribly broad thing to just stick on your plate. If you break it down, it means try everything at least once. Because you never know when that weird skill that you did on one Wednesday afternoon 3 years ago because you were bored is going to be the ticket that gets you over the line. My biggest bugbear is if you find sight reading difficult, or you can't do it, or you really struggle with it, take a few lessons, get slightly better, because the number of times it will push you over the edge into getting the job that you didn't know you would otherwise is incredible. And it also just frees up your time so much.
And less stressful,
So much less stressful. Because you turn up to a chorus call and you already know the music, you don't have to pick it up.
You can enjoy it much more.
Yeah.
One of my big suggestions as a director of outreach, I engage artists in concerts throughout the year. We used to do about 20 or so concerts. COVID obviously had an impact on that, but we do 20 concerts in elderly care homes. So I do a lot of booking artists for concerts, replying to emails quickly, and I don't mean within 10 minutes. That's not what I'm asking, but at least within 24 hours, or if you can't do that, just tell me when you're going to reply. That's hugely important. One thing that Rosie mentioned to me was making sure that if you're asking for advice or an application, make sure you know the person's name, whether or not they are female, because there is nothing more of a turn-off than dear sir or madam, or to whom it may concern. The information is out there. It's just such a very simple thing to do. Memorize your audition rep. If somebody asks you to sing something that's short notice, that's one thing, but if you can, turning up with a piece of music is a barrier, and you want to avoid that whenever possible. I'm not saying it's manageable every single time, but if you can memorize something or not memorize it, I would always go with memorizing it. Just give yourself every single advantage. And all of these things I've just mentioned have nothing to do with talent. It is just about being a functioning human being. And if you can do that, then you're already ahead of some of the people.
And the last thing I would say is support your colleagues, support your friends.
Yeah, go and see shows.
Go and see shows that you're not in. Go and see concerts that you're not doing.
You'll learn something. Regardless,
something.
We do every single time.
Absolutely, every time. Even if you go to a piano concerto concert, you'll come away with an understanding of stagecraft, programming, something that you hadn't previously considered.
Or a new networking person or friend or professional who might be able to help you in the future.
And just, get on with as many people as you can, because you never know who's hiring.
Be a nice person. This is an industry that requires a huge amount of investment, not least the undergraduate, postgraduates, opera school, all that sort of stuff. It is tricky. So one of the things I would suggest is, Opera Prelude has a wonderful list of people and trusts that you can apply for. Unions like the Incorporated Society of Musicians, the Musicians Union, they have some excellent advice as to applications and things. They also have benevolent funds if you're struggling. So those sort of things can really, really help. Individuals, like we mentioned, people that have supported you may consider offering financial support. That is something you can do. And there's also some initiatives that you can apply for via audition or via application or letter that can provide you with support and you recognize those people in biographies, for a certain number of times. So I've been supported by the Opera Awards Foundation for a few years. Also, I was a choral scholar at Berlin Opera Academy, where it was a bereavement legacy that was given to certain artists. Lots of random things, but there's lots you can apply for.
And I think as well, don't always just go looking for the full sum to support you, because obviously tuition fees are a big chunk of cash. If you spread little bits and pieces from different organisations or different people, you can then actually build up the cost of a year, which you might not think £100 here, £100 there, is that going to add up to anything? And it does. Something I did when I did my postgraduate is I wrote letters to so many organisations. I went to the Guildhall, so I wrote a lot to the livery companies, because if you go through their websites, it's not just the ones who actively give scholarships to the colleges. There are tons of little ones who have little funds available. If you write, you explain how your need is linked to their beneficiary. It's amazing what is out there. But again, this does link back to making sure you get the right address, name and salutation for the person.
So important, because also if you think about it, like these small funds, I mean, can you if off the top of your head remember one that you got that was a relatively small amount?
Yep, the very lovely worshipful company of Poulters supported me to the tune of £300, and it made the difference.
Yeah, so that's
really
£300 that you spent probably, let's say, an hour writing that letter. So doing the due diligence of making sure that it was specific to that organisation, and making sure that you offered a nice description and that you made it individual to them. That's £300 per hour of Rosie's work. That's a good rate. So you need to spend that time to make sure. I mean, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and that's unfortunate. But at least you've put the effort in, and you will be recognised, because so many people photocopy a letter and send it off, and that is not what people are looking for.
And you've honed your fundraising skills.
Yeah, which is another skill.
So it's investment. Prelude, we are great.
We are.
I don't know that we came up with one single one. We came up with 2 or 3 because we stretched it.
Yeah.
Really good one that I think is doing some fantastic work and is actually really keeping up with the industry is Swopera. So supporting women and parents in opera. They're really doing some excellent work. They keep doing seminars. Their social media profiles are definitely worth a follow.
Yes, Planet Hugel is somebody who does lots of reviews. Obviously, the Askinus Twitter account is very, very good. I enjoy that very much. I was about to suggest my own, but I mostly post about vegetables, so don't do that. Any others that you can think
of? Just if there's something new, if you've been to see a show or a concert at a venue or by a ensemble or someone that you really rate, follow them, because they'll be following other people who are really interesting. Couple of actual individual musician accounts that I think are really good. Jamie Barton, Joyce DiDonato, they're very active and they're very outward looking. You don't just get tweets
about what they're doing. Yeah, Joyce is amazing at giving advice and saying, I was in your shoes once. The number of audition rejections and the stories that she tells, they're not sort of like, oh, woe is me. It's just a wonderful sort of like, I was there too, don't worry, this happens. And that stuff is actually really empowering, especially at the start when you're getting, well, in my case, 9 out of 10 rejections and sometimes getting a job. It's lovely to hear that the superstars went through all of that as well.
And sometimes still are.
Yes.
We are running Opera Works, which is a full day of seminars, talks, professionals, outreach concerts, a full concert with some of our aforementioned amazing industry professionals. It promises to be a really interesting day. It's specifically aimed for young artists, so people coming into the industry, current students, conservatoire students, recent postgrads, recent graduates, anything like that. We are talking on some amazing topics. There is a full seminar 45 minutes on tax and finance and how to actually afford this career.
And there'll be Q&As and opportunities to hear the young artists as well as the industry leaders. And there's going to be some education work where we'll have some schools coming in and doing some outreach performances, so you can see some of our young artists working with children as well. So it's going to be a huge day full of wonderful music, and you can ask as many questions as you want, get to know, and do a lot of networking. So it's going to be a really good day.
Absolutely. It is so worth it. It's £10 as a token placeholder for the day. You just apply through our website, prelude.org, and that all includes food and refreshment, vegan or vegetarian lunch. Honestly, I think if I was a student recently graduated, this would be the thing I would be looking at to do. But and I don't just say that, but also
alas, we're very old.
Alas, we're old and wrinkly, so we'll be there.
Maybe I could just be a student.
But it is going to be really worth doing.